So now we are going to talk about day-2 operations. In one of the earlier sessions, we talked about how do you build a topology using Alkira and how do you stitch everything together. Now, this session, we're going to talk about day-2 operations, because what good is a network if you cannot operate and monitor and manage and troubleshoot? So we're going to go through a day-2 operations. For folks who don't know what Alkira is, Alkira provides cloud area networking, which is network infrastructure as a service. Alkira's cloud area networking consists of cloud exchange points. These cloud exchange points are points of presence that are available globally, and they allow customers to connect their on-prem locations, cloud workloads, and build a full connectivity model. Once you build a connectivity model, then you essentially, on top of that, layer network services, and then you have full visibility and governance of it. Now, when customers deploy these networks in a single and a multi-cloud, they have a lot of tools that they use today, right? They have a set of tools that they leverage for on-prem. They have a set of tools that they need for AWS, and the set of tools they need for Azure, a set of tools they need for Google, and so on and so on. Very soon, the amount of tools that you need is more than a page long. And it becomes very cumbersome to troubleshoot something that goes wrong. And we all know in a networking world, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Because a lot of time, networking teams are blamed, saying, hey, something's wrong with the network. And then they have to prove their innocence. So we'll talk about how you troubleshoot a multi-cloud network. How do you get visibility into this multi-cloud world through the Alkira solution? So I'm going to go to an already deployed environment that I have. This is what we call our CorpNet. This is how I'm connected today over VPN as a remote user into the Alkira network. And this is what all of our employees and everyone uses on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to log into this. And as you know, as you can see here, this network is already deployed. It is deployed in 4 regions across the globe. We have a CXP in US West, a CXP in US East, a CXP in Europe, and a CXP in APAC. This is how the network looks like. Our dominant CXP, as you can see here, is US West. It has AWS, Azure workloads. It has internet, it has a multiple different network services, and a multiple different ways the users are coming into that. And then we have a few other CXPs that are already deployed where remote users are coming in, as well as there are cloud workloads and everything connected. Now, in terms of troubleshooting, right? First, I need the visibility into what's going. So you always have the live health view of the network. And you can look at what's going on, what is up, what is wrong, what is not right. What our customers really like the best is what we have this called visualize routes, right? This is a single view into your entire routed environment, whether it's AWS, whether it's Azure, whether it's Google, whether it's Oracle, whether it's on-prem connectivity, right? And you can look at this routed view across your network and exactly know what is going on a per segment basis. As you can see here on the top, I have a Corp segment, I have an Alkira segment, I have a DMZ segment here. So on a per segment, I exactly know what my network looks like. Now, if there is something that I don't know, let's say somebody says, I can reach this application, right? Or I can reach this IP address. I can just search for it, right? I can just say, I can just type in that IP address, and it immediately tells me this particular IP address is in a Azure VNet, connected as a EU Central connector, connecting to the Germany West CXP in the Corp segment. So I don't have to understand anything. All I have to do is I type in IP address, which potentially someone was not able to access, and Alkira tells me that this IP address is in this connector or in this cloud, in this application at this location. So Again, I get rid of that, and I have full visibility of my global network. And you can export that. You can do whatever you want with it. So this in itself is a huge value add that our customers see when they're especially going to a single cloud, multiple regions, or multi-cloud, multi-region.
When you say you can export that, is it to a PNG or a fully detailed visual?
There's a fully detailed view. And again, as I said, everything that we show in UI is available through APIs, is available through SDK. So you can call API and store it wherever you want. You can export it as an Excel file. You can do it many different ways.
Okay. One of the other things that you mentioned was overlapping IPs.
Correct.
So if you do type in an IP address and there's overlapping IPs, it will show you both of
Absolutely.
examples.
It will not only show you on this page, but as you can see here, I have a separate tab for overlapping routes. It exactly tells you this route is overlapping across these connectors. So I don't even have to go into a long list and identify what is overlapping and what is not. We also have a capability to do inter-segment route leaking. This is a little bit of an advanced capability we are not covering today. We can cover that. Let's say I have Corp IT, and then I have multiple different lines of business. In my Corp IT, I have an AD service, right? Now this AD service needs to be accessible to all of the apps in different lines of business. So I can take that AD service and leak that AD service into different lines of businesses. And when that happens, that is called what we call resource sharing. So we pick that resource and shared it to multiple different segments. We see that as a very common use case deployed as where you have full segmentation, strict segmentation, but then there's certain aspects that get leaked out. I talked about IT use case. One other use case that we have seen customers do is we have a customer who has an application that has a billing module, and that billing module needs to talk to a lot of billing partners. So what they do is they bring these billing partners into a completely different segment called a partner segment. And then they take the application, and instead of exposing that full application to this billing partner, they take the billing module part of the subnet, and they only expose that through this resource share to the partner segment. So this application, so users will always come into that line of business segment, but for billing needs, this application will talk to the billing partners over a different segment. So you can do some things like that, intelligent resource sharing and selective resource sharing with our solution. Okay, so that's just route visualization. I talked about health. At any point, you can look at all the traffic that's flowing through the network. I can go into a particular CXP. Let's just go into US West. It will tell me the health of all the connectors in that CXP. It will tell me all the traffic that's flowing through that CXP. It will tell me all of the traffic that is coming from the on-prem locations. It will tell me all the traffic that's going towards the cloud workloads. It will tell me all of the traffic that's going towards the services. It will tell me all the traffic that's going on the internet. It will also tell me all the traffic that is going from one region to other region. So you have full visibility of all of the traffic that is flowing on the network and what policies are getting implemented, and which policy and which policies are getting hit on which traffic workflows. So you have full visibility into that. I will also talk about remote access, right? I talked about remote access earlier. I can go into remote access, look at what are the users connected to this remote access. So if I go here and type myself, so here, as you can see, I am right now on this laptop connected to that CorpNet network. So I'm VPN into this network for this demo. So again, a lot of capabilities around health, around visibility, and what's going on in the network. Now I'm going to go to I saw this yellow, and I'm going to go and look at what's happening there. So let's look at a typical debugging scenario and troubleshooting. So in this particular case, I see a site that is down, right? And I'm trying to connect to that site or connect from that site to the application. And somebody called me and said, I'm not able to connect anywhere from this site. So that's when we go into what we call the diagnostics mode. Once I go into the diagnostics mode, I can pick up that particular connector, and I have a whole set of tools that I can use to troubleshoot what's going on. I can look at the health. I can do ping and trace route and packet capture and flow capture and NAT translation and so on and so forth, because we know something is going to go wrong at some point. So we need to provide the right set of tools for the right visibility. So I'm going to go into health check and see what's going on. So I can see here that provisioning was done fine. All of the configuration was available, but I see IPsec is up, but BGP is down here on this particular site. So I can look at the debug logs now. When I look at the debug logs, it's going to show me what's going on. So I look at this and I look at the logs. These are live logs coming from our infra nodes, right? For that particular connector, that's under question. And I can see that there is a bad peer AS. So now I know why my IPsec is up, but BGP is down. That means somebody has fat fingered and BGP is not configured right. So let's look at that, right? So I can go back here. And now I know there's a BGP is a problem here. I go here and I can download the config and see what the config should be. So for every connector that we deploy, we automatically allow customers to download the config that needs to put on a remote site. So I'm going to pick Cisco as a vendor, because that's what I have. I have a CSR there. And then I download that config. And once I download that config, I can open that config. So it's IPsec. Then I look for remote AS, because that was the problem. And I see that the remote AS was supposed to be configured as 65514. So now let's go and look at the router. So this is my CSR running as a remote branch. I'm going to go and check out what's happening there.
Just a quick question.
Yes, please.
That type of functionality there, where you're bringing up ping, tracer, et cetera, does that extend down into your third-party integrations?
That's right.
Yeah, so switches, firewalls.
Yeah, so essentially, once you extended SD-WAN or once you extended IPsec, we generate a config that needs to go on the other side of the world. Yeah. So here I can see that if I look at this, somebody has fat fingered, and instead of 65514, I see 65515. So let's go and fix that. Okay, so I fixed the remote AS number, and let's see if it comes up now. While that is going on, I also want to make sure now that the VPC that it's trying to access is also making sure it's fully up and running. So I'm going to click on this VPC that we're trying to access, and then I'm going to go to that route visualization view that we had. And in this particular case, I know that I'm receiving this 10.000/24, and I'm sending a default route, which means I know the VPC side is good now. I would just have to make sure the branch is up and running. And it's still not up and running. So let's give it a minute. It should come up because BGP will time out, and then it will retry, renegotiate, and should come up. Well, there you go. It's yellow, which means one of the legs has come up. And it should turn green pretty soon, and it will come up. So what we have done is we looked at the Alkira diagnostics tools. We identified that there was a remote AS problem, which was a BGP AS mismatch. And we downloaded the config, we verified it, we went to CSR and we fixed it, and now it's up and running. So that's good. So now this is all good, up and running. It's green now, so the branch is up. Now let's connect to the branch and see if we can send some traffic or reach that VPC. So I'm going to connect to my remote access. And I have a troubleshooting demo page that's running in that VPC. So I'm going to try to connect that. And looks like it's still not working. So we fixed the BGP, it's up and running, the branch is up and running. So let's use some of the other tools that we have available from Alkira. So I'm going to go here and make sure there's no policy conflict. So let's go back to diagnostics. Let's pick that VPC, that branch. Let's pick the VPC. And here we can look at policy inspector. And let's analyze that. So this one will look at all of the policies that you have deployed in Alkira and tell you what is allowed and what is not allowed between the two connectors. In this particular case, this one looks great because I just have everything is allowed.
Oh, wow, that does not look great. Any is not great.
So we have full connectivity between two sites, between a site and a VPC. So now I'm going to leverage another tool that we have, which is flow capture, right? So I'm going to go to my branch and capture the flows, and let's see what we see. So again, I'm just walking you through how a person will troubleshoot a scenario. And then let's look at what's happening. So I can see here that the ICMP traffic is going through, but the HTTP sessions are not going through, which means now there might be something on the VPC side, a security group or something that may be blocking that. Because I see the branch is up and running, my BGP is there, I have connectivity to the branch, I have connectivity to the VPC, some traffic is going, some traffic is not going. So now what we're going to do is go find that VPC here. That's my VPC ID. And Alkira has another capability called Cloud Insights. This is essentially the ability for Alkira to discover all of your cloud assets and visually show what's happening. Now I go into this particular VPC. Let's find that VPC. And I have again subnets, security groups, network ACLs, route tables, everything discovered for that particular VPC. I'm going to look at this. And I sure see that ICMP is allowed, SSH is allowed, but HTTP is not allowed here. So I can easily go by just one click into that particular security group and fix that. So this will take us into that particular security group. I'm going to go into the inbound edit rules, add HTTP rule. And that's pretty much it. Now, AWS will take however long takes, probably a few seconds, and the traffic and the network should be up and running. So now let's keep trying this. There we go. So now we have HTTP traffic going between a branch router and a VPC through Alkira. So this is how you typically troubleshoot a live network, from debugging why the connectivity is not up to figuring out, capturing the flows, capturing the packets, looking at the policies, and identifying where the problem is, addressing the problem, and making sure network is healthy again. So that's what I wanted to cover today in terms of debugging and troubleshooting. Hope you enjoyed the session and you got to understand all the capabilities from a day-2 operations that Alkira provides.